Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about stuff. That's right, stuff. I said it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Brand new cryptocurrency videos all the time. This is, and I will say this as slowly as possible, this is not to get your hopes up. We are currently in what has really, this is the craziest, weirdest, most intensest cryptocurrency cycle that we've ever been in. I needed to do gigantic parentheses just because people keep telling us that the cycles no longer exist. Ooh, it disappeared into the ether or something like that. We are apparently, and this is because of the, I'm not joking, because of the regulatory clarity, because of the bills that got signed this summer, because of the institutions. This one makes a little bit more sense for my brain. Because of the institutions, because of it was like 30 banks. Didn't everyone remember that one? Yeah. Don't forget that. We had so much news this summer about banks within the United States, in Canada, in Mexico, in Norway, in Germany, and all these other places buying up hugely excessive amounts of Bitcoin. We had stuff about universities buying up Bitcoin. We had stuff about countries buying up Bitcoin. It does make sense. The news now is, on top of everything else, that we're in a cycle, but it's not a 4-year cycle. It's just something that kind of like will be moving forward in some capacity. If you didn't see, this was like 3 weeks ago as well. Someone mentioned they think that we're going to still have cycles, but they just won't be as dramatic. If you have 25 countries, 35 banks, and all these new billionaires who entered the market in January, when they see a dip in, remember the dip we just had, and then it was like undipped really fast? If you have a dip in the market, they're not going to just wait on the sidelines to see if someone else buys before them. So the idea would be is that we wouldn't have any more 90% like prolonged drops over the course of 3 years, because all the investors are like, well, they're buying, she's buying. We all have to buy at the exact same time. That's kind of this idea. We have someone else who has joined the ring, and I said this a few videos ago, and I'm going to repeat it again. If we do not have a multi-year bull cycle, I'm going to be very angry. We have heard this news for the last 19 and a half months. Okay, that's a bit too much. The last 9 months or so, we have been told cycles over. All we're going to have now is basically just a bunch of prosperous next few years. Remember all the, $50,000 Ethereum in 2028, $100 XRP, $500,000 Bitcoin, 800,000 US dollar Bitcoin in 2028. You can't get there if prices have fallen down, and everyone's charts keep showing that price is going to go up. The founding partner of a company called Swissborg has reiterated, is saying what everyone else is saying, and believes that the market is entering, and I quote, entering a multi-year, structurally different bull market that could deliver generational wealth. – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – He says that we are entering the altcoin season Bible. I don't know exactly what that means, but that's literally what he says is his altcoin season Bible. He basically believes that we have entered into a brand new market because of all the money that we've seen entering this space. Makes a lot of sense. One of the largest narratives for him, and this kind of lines up, has to do with yield. This is going to be something that you are going to continuously hear about. We recently had something where this guy was talking about real estate no longer effectively in the future being used as a complete store of value because we have Bitcoin. And I know that sounds a little bit insane. The idea has to do with Bitcoin DeFi and Bitcoin yield and Bitcoin staking. One of the major things that we've seen this year from institutions and from companies is talking, remember, Bitcoin's boring. Bitcoin's so boring. We want Bitcoin to have a yield. Now that all these protocols are releasing and dropping, Bitcoin is going to have a yield. Ethereum has a yield. XRP is going to have a yield. When you can effectively hold an asset that you don't have to find a tenant for, that you don't have to clean, an asset that you don't really have to have any upkeep with, and it's making you 2 to 3% per year just sitting there, that's a gigantic game changer. As a company, if you can show on your balance sheet, we have $100 million worth of Bitcoin. The price goes up. We have $500 million worth of Bitcoin. And then you can also show your stakeholders, we made 3% just because Bitcoin was making passive income yield daily. For those of you who don't know how many of the staking coins work, it's daily. It's not weekly. It's not seasonally. Daily. You show as a company, we made like $15 million from doing absolutely nothing. And then we use that $15 million to buy this asset or to buy this building or to do that. The valuation of your company begins to skyrocket. With all these institutions getting into the space, it basically sets the framework for all of this. He said, I really want to prove to everyone that this will be the biggest cycle and the biggest chance for everyone to generate generational wealth. I try not to be too harsh or too intense, even though I know I'm very intense and in all speaks and manners of life. It is difficult for me as an investor to try and get other people into markets that I, dare I say, I know and I understand. The cryptocurrency space is such a market where people can make huge amounts of money. And I don't want to say small, in like a short period of time, but it kind of is that way. Even if you whittle it down to a normal cycle of 4 years, so many retail investors don't know what's going on. They're paying attention to other investments or other things that they think will help them. If cryptocurrency prices are indeed going to continue into infinitum, as we've constantly been hearing over and over, this is kind of the market to be into. Almost every day now, we're getting some kind of news analyst, economist announcing where prices are going for crypto. A lot of people, I think, sometimes stop at a certain number and say, okay, I'm done. I think the idea of Bitcoin being 100K makes sense to people. And I think a lot of people have in their mind that Bitcoin is going to 1 million and then kind of stopping like at the door, just won't be able to go any further. All the signs, all the news that we keep getting are pointing to the idea of Bitcoin being a or the backbone of the future financial world that we have. You can't really disagree with me because I can show you 17,000 news articles that say exactly what I'm talking about. We're going to enter a world where a lot of people are going to realize that they missed out. And then the problem is that they won't have really missed out. If XRP is going to $7, XRP is going to $70. If Ethereum's going to 10,000, Ethereum's probably going to 100K in case you missed those other videos from before. If Bitcoin's going to 500,000, it's probably going to 5 million. It's probably going to 14 million. I say probably because no one knows the future. So the idea of, I saw someone the other day on Twitter talking about it, and they said they're really annoyed at the idea of XRP's price being so high because they want to buy more. They want it back at 1 cent. And I'm like, if you think that its current price is a lot, by the time it gets to $38, you're going to have a hard time. The other issue is if XRP is being used by all these central banks, it'll be $380 at some point. There's a lot of money to be made. This isn't a 1 year kind of game. Generational wealth is created over time. And crypto, you're able to make huge, massive stretches of money in a very, like we're not talking about investing for 27 and a half years into a money market. And even this is still the beginning of where all of this actually is. So yeah, the article keeps going on and on and on. He's basically talking about the bull cycle. And even after we have what is called the euphoria part of the cycle, that's where you wake up and you've made $44,000. It happens. I promise you. This is how the market works. He's expecting it to go higher. This is also the same exact thing with Samson Mao. Samson Mao was talking about the Godzilla candles and the Omega candles. It's basically movements of $10,000. There's no real Bitcoin went up by $800. It's only these mega movements. And that's what I am afraid of a lot of people missing out on as we move into this future where basically Bitcoin and crypto look like they're going to take over all other financial assets. Yeah. Okie dokie. I think that's going to do it for this video. Please make sure to always do your own research. Please make sure to always learn more and read more and figure out why countries are buying Bitcoin and not Pepe coin and not Dogecoin and not Tron. Yeah, it behooves you and your future generational wealth to really understand what this market is actually about. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.